everyone. Welcome back to Joe and Ruth of Toastmasters, a podcast designed by Toastmasters for Toastmasters and friends and anyone out there in the globe who loves speaking, communication, leadership, and public speaking. We are back with a bang after the festivities. Hope everybody had a wonderful Diwali. And I am Joanne Joseph from Palava Toastmasters Club, your host, along with my co-host, DTM Ron Moria from Kharga Toastmaster Club, welcoming you to season 2, episode 3, Lead to Serve on leadership at our podcast. Before we get into the podcast, there's one person that tonight I need to thank. That is Toastmaster Libby Abraham from Agnel Toastmasters Club. A big shout out to you, Libby, for our new poster design. All you guys out there, if you like the new design, the kudos goes to Libby. So big round of applause to Libby. Thank you so much. Now, let's get into the podcast directly. I don't want to waste a lot of time introducing our guest today. Every single day, every single time I say, the guest is always special. And yes, to me, every single guest that comes on my podcast is special. But tonight, it's truly, truly special because the first time I heard about this person, I was in awe. He's none other than distinguished Toastmaster Arvind Nair. Now, everybody in District 98 knows him. Newcomers, veterans, past Toastmasters, future Toastmasters, somewhere or the other, you have heard the word Arvind in District 98. But a little bit of introduction for our chief guest today. Arvind Nair joined Toastmasters as a charter member of the Bombay Toastmasters Club in February 2008. Mind you, this was the third club to be formed in Bombay. And since then, this ardent Toastmaster has helped to sponsor and mentor many of the subsequent clubs formed in Mumbai and beyond. Toastmasters International has specially recognized him as one of the top 5 sponsors of a club. He's a passionate Toastmaster and continues to mentor clubs and members across Mumbai. Now, that is all about mentorship, but he's not just a mentor and a great speaker, but a true leader. He has served as area governor and division governor, leading respective area and division to become president's distinguished, and was also recognized as one of the 3 best division governors of District 41 during 2013-14. He has served as the District 41 Secretary and Chief Judge. He has been a member of District 82, District 41, and now the reformed District 98. He was the first trio member of District 98 and also the club growth director in 2015 and 16. During that year alone, he helped to charter over 30 clubs in the district. This is his success story. Excellence in Club Growth Award at the International Conference in Washington. He has received that. He has served as a district program quality director during 16-17, and during his tenure, the whole district attained the President Distinguished District status. Wow, all mouthful, accolades and accomplishments for DTM Arvind Nair. He has also been awarded the Excellence in Program Quality at International Conference held in Vancouver in 2017. Apart from Toastmasters, he's also a very well-known professional. He has worked for top management of reputed companies like Bennett Coleman and Company, which is a part of Times Group, Mukan Limited, Jeffrey Manners and Company, and among others. He was also a member of Rotary Club of Thane West for 15 years. Now, I thought I should shorten this introduction. I really did. But I felt like this man deserves to be introduced with this form, and his accomplishments deserve to be presented before the audience. Because tonight we are going to talk about how to create great clubs and what does it take to create a great club and great district. But before I come to you, Arvind sir, there is my co-host sitting here, and I'm sure he's extremely excited because let me tell you, when Joe and Ruth took place, when we were just forming the podcast, Ron told me we should call Arvind Nair. It took us a lot of time and months later, but I'm so glad that, Ron, your dream has come true and DTM Arvind is right now with us. Over to you, Ron. Tell me something about DTM Arvind, who's not just a DTM to you, but also your personal mentor.
Yeah, so it was about welcome, Arvind, first of all. So glad to have you on board. It was about 11 years ago. I saw a small ad in a newspaper, a local newspaper for Toastmasters. And that was when Agnel was just about to start in Vashi. And that ad was posted by Toastmaster Arvind. And just because of that small ad, I attended that first meeting. And the first person I met in Toastmasters was Arvind. and the rest, as they say, is history. This podcast is very personal for me because I've known him for a long time. He's my very dearest friend, mentor, guide, and over the years, whatever I've achieved in Toastmaster, a great deal I owe to him. Whatever I've learned, whatever knowledge I've gained, a large part is due to him. So I could take this entire hour just talking about him, but that's not the point. And this podcast, he's also been our ardent supporter right from the beginning. He's attended almost all sessions that was possible for him. So for me, it's just a thrill to have him and pick his brain on all the knowledge that he's gained over all these years. Can you imagine 15 years? 15 years, right, Arvind, in Toastmasters? Amazing. So I'm really looking forward to it. Let's get started.
So, Arvind sir, first of all, thank you so much. Really grateful for having you on the show. Please tell us, how do you feel today? Let me start with that.
I feel I've been put on the mat after all these years. But never mind, there comes a time when I need to share whatever I have gained over the last 15 plus years in Toastmasters. And you have a wonderful platform, I must say, Joe and Ron, for this. And you are doing a wonderful job, I must say. Great.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for having me today. Shoot your questions and possibly let me share some of my experiences so that it could help the others to become better. Over to you.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. So directly getting your advice and choosing my questions wisely. Let me ask you quickly, what does it take to start a club in Toastmasters? 30 plus years of your experience. What do you think? Like, what are those few points that is necessary to start a club in Toastmasters?
Way back when I was new in Toastmasters and I was wondering, I used to get a lot of inquiries because, like Ron said, the little ad in the Bombay Times, which was free at that time, and having worked with the Times of India group, it helped me to put those two lines into the newspaper. And I started getting calls, and we had members and we had people coming into the Bombay Toastmasters Club to attend the meeting and to understand what Toastmasters is all about. Many of them were from the corporate sector. And they, having witnessed that, and all the camaraderie that Bombay Toastmasters had to offer, they went back to many of their corporates and wanted to begin a club there. And that's what started the whole thing for me. I knew a bit of English, thank the Lord. And I was able to convince them, I think, but Toastmasters did help me to spread the word about the benefits of Toastmasters. So initially what we do is to test if the corporate wants, then they would reach out. I would go there, so explain the thing to them and the benefits. And then we would ask them to circulate the thing within the organization. Once that is done, they would then say, okay, we have so many respondents, eager people who wish to attend. And then I would request them to have an info meeting. We don't have a demo meeting at that time. We said, let's have an info meeting because what they hear from their corporate is different from what we tell them actually. So we would then go with a presentation or not. I wouldn't like a presentation because I'm not used to showing slides and talking on slides, and I'm more of the chalk and duster and the blackboard type. Or rather, I would like to speak because I could convey more while talking. And then I would explain what Toastmasters is, the benefits of Toastmasters. And then we would see what the response would be from the corporate. We would wait till they came back to us and said, we have so many eager members who wish to join and form a club. So can you come in and let us have a demo meet? And with the demo meet, we wouldn't take a whole contingent of Toastmasters at that time. What we would do is to test, I would go there. I would have what maybe Ron at times or Hasnain at times with me, and we would go there and just explain to them what a Toastmaster meeting is like. But before that, we would ensure that we had 2 or 3 of their role players, prospective members. So we would have the timer and the hour counter from there. We would take on a grammarian from the Toastmaster side. And I would be, as usual, the general evaluator. We would have a table topic master, or we would double up as a table topic master, etc. But we would always have just one speech and a table topic. And if possible, what we would do is to ask the corporate to let us have one person whom we could mentor for that initials icebreaker speech. Now, the reason why we wanted that and why we wanted those 2 role players was to give them a feeling of how they could improve. So we had this, we would have the person who was going to be the speaker, and we would correspond with the person and mentor the speech, actually mentor the speech and see that it is within the 4 to 6 minutes, the stipulated time. And when we actually had the meeting and we found that he was talking and then there was an evaluation, the reason why we wanted this is because we wanted them to see the difference. They know what their colleague is like. And when he actually came and spoke, probably that was the first time he was talking to a crowd, how he performed. And we wanted them to go and speak to him later on and understand how he had changed. And mind you, this was not overnight. We wouldn't do it overnight. If the corporate wanted a demo meet, we would arrange it at least 2 weeks hence, because we would then mentor the person, we would gather everybody, we would explain the roles to the 2 people that we wanted, so that after the meeting, they knew exactly what they did and what they felt about the whole thing. So that's how we looked at forming new class. And one very important thing that I would do is to evaluate the table topic speakers. Now, when I say evaluate the table topic speakers, see, they are doing it for the first time probably, and they wouldn't know how they stand, where they put their hands, how they gesture, what words they use, and how many times they use a filler word, etc. So at the time that we did the general evaluation, and I would say, let me be in Toastmasters, we do not criticize, but we critique the person so that he can improve. And then I would go on to tell the person and what he did was good, what he did good, and what could be avoided, because those were small nuances of public speaking, that if he came in with his hands on his hip or his hands in his back pocket or his hands in his pocket, and he said, that doesn't augur well when you are standing in front of a crowd, so you may like to avoid that. And these are things that they did not know because they were afraid, they were nervous, we all are, and how they need to place their hands, etc. And when all that came out, that was the selling point for Toastmasters, because there they saw there was going to be value. And these were the ambassadors that we wanted within the company to spread the word that this is how I could get better. And that helped a lot. That helped a lot.
Wow. Yeah.
So
So the actual, yeah, go ahead, Ron.
No, we've
No,
gone.
so I was thinking,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
Yeah,
Okay,
Joe, go ahead.
so I was thinking the actual transformation was happening in the info meeting and the change that they saw when
No, the info meet is to only give the information. See, we had given the information to the corporate. I would always involve the HR in that. We would have the HR and we would have some responsible person from the management attend the talk. Because unless you had the management buy-in, it wouldn't help. And if you don't have the HR, there's nobody to drive it. So I would
Yeah, but-
insist that we have an HR and the management person. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So my question to you, sir, is this was back in the 2000s, right? Now in 2023, when you are looking at people trying to form the club, because I am sure there is a cultural change, there is some kind of transformation that has happened within the district and within the community. What change do you see? Is it easier now? Is it better now? Or are we going on a track that is much more difficult than when you joined it?
Well, I think maybe things are changing with changing times, but there are some rules and some styles that don't go out, are not outdated, is what I feel. And I find that people go and just start with a demo meet and take a whole contingent of Toastmasters. Now remember, Toastmasters is a voluntary organization. We do not get paid, right? And taking all these people, the whole gambit of all the role players from within the Toastmasters and going there to give a demo meet, I don't feel that is the correct thing. Well, those are things that I feel I wouldn't comment on. I feel that maybe the way we did it way back could be better, made it this way as well, rather than going and giving a full presentation and having a demo meet. Now, nobody wants to wait or sit at something which is new for at least 2 or 2.5 hours to understand what it is. And so let's give it to them in tidbits. So don't let the whole Toastmasters go, all of them. Like I said, 2 or 3 people can go do this thing, develop the interest, and then go in for a demo meet. But at the demo meet, again, give the value to, because they're not yet Toastmasters, they're just prospective members. So unless you ignite that little flame in them, you can't get them to become members.
Yeah, so I remember going with Arvind on so many of those initial meetings. I've given presentations also on Toastmaster. I think that time sometimes used to give presentations to the management, then do the demo meet. And I remember we used to always be like judging whether this club will survive, not survive, will it happen or not. And Arvind used to always, okay, these guys maybe they will not survive. These guys will not. They'll have a few meetings and they won't. So I wanted to ask Arvind, what did you see that time that made you feel okay? These guys are really going to make it, or that these guys are not going to happen. Like we'll try our best, but it's not going to happen. We've also had these things where the clubs have run successfully for 1 or 2 years, and then they've just gone off. I think we've got dozens of examples of those. So what were we looking for? What were you looking for that time, and what are the factors that you thought would make them successful?
Actually, I wanted to see, when we speak to the HR, we come to understand whether it's the HR's KRA or it's the KR, or it's actually that they want a club, because the HR's KRA is only for that 1 month or 1 year. I formed a club and that gets into my KRA. I do not want to waste time on such things. And I do not want to waste the time of the Toastmasters for such things if they are not going to survive. So whilst talking to them, we would understand, there was a time when I went to a club, to a prospective meeting, and we had two others with me, and we were talking. And this was some CEO or some owner of some place, and they wanted to start a club. And the person, maybe my communication skills were so raw that the person was sleeping when I was talking to him. Can you imagine that? And I said, am I going to start a club with this person, not even understanding what I am talking, and how will he convey it to the others so that the interest is generated? So we've had all these sort of things, and Ron would remember one particular incident, without names being taken, that we waited for 30 minutes to get to the fifth floor of a company to only be given 30 seconds, from 30 minutes to 30 seconds with the HR to say, oh, we are going through a reformation search. I don't think we would be interested. Why? If you knew you were going through a reformation, why don't you call and tell us?
Yeah, so our initial days of, if anybody's curious about how our district actually formed, how we built those clubs, basically me, Arvind, Hasnain, all the other senior toasters were like traveling salesmen. You know how we are medical representatives sit outside doctors' offices. There were many cases we had to sit outside HR's office. And right now we have a certain prestige. Like somebody invites a Toastmaster club in their organization, it is a prestigious thing. But while we were building the district, while we were building the initial clubs, it was like literally it was aapki garaj nahi hamari garaj type of thing, and we've all been through some really, really weird experiences. But the satisfaction and the fun was actually of having a good club and then those clubs coming up and the district growing in front of our eyes. But one thing I would like to say, nobody is as indefatigable as Arvind, as in the amount of times he's gone and taken meetings and spoken to the HR and sat through this and had demos. And I mean, I used to get tired after a while. I'm like, let them go. We are not going to bother about them. But Arvind would always know. We'll go, we'll talk, we'll answer all the queries, we'll have another presentation if necessary. And thanks to him, our district is what it is today. But that was a crazy period. I mean, building a district. I mean, we could tell you stories for hours and hours about those times. But I think let's move on to the next section. Yeah.
I wish I had those hours with me right now to hear those stories, because I think that is the highlight of having a veteran Toastmaster, right? To get the inside stories. But Arvind, back to you with the same question. How does a club survive? And I'm coming to you with this question because I think you have that expanse of experience, right? You've seen successful clubs like Agnel being formed and surviving, no, thriving, I must say. And then you've also seen many clubs, corporate as well as community clubs. Let's talk about both of them, who have performed well, but then have shut down. So you said the starting point is a very keen interest, whether it's a corporate HR or a community group of people, very keen interest is important. What other factors do you think defines the success of a club and survival of the club? If you want to take an example like Agnel or Bombay Toastmasters, like who are like doing so good, what is different about these clubs and what should we look up to so that our clubs can also survive and thrive?
There was a time, or there is still a time, that the Bombay Toastmasters Club was looked upon as a club to attend the meeting to understand the protocol of how a meeting is to be conducted. The first and foremost thing is, whenever a club is formed, the first thing is to induct the members. During those times, we used to ask them, and it was physical meetings at that time, we would ask them to raise their right hand, and we would administer the promise of Toastmasters. And every line of Toastmasters, if the promise holds so much value that if you really look and listen to it, and it has to be administered very clearly, just like the mission of the club. You can't rush through the mission of the club. Every word has a deep meaning. And even in first thing is to induct the person. And then he becomes a member. And you take that promise, you administer that promise to him, and he understands what it is. Then you go and install the executive committee members of the club. So that again is another little, we used to have it as a little event sort of thing, call the management and all the others who are not members. And mind you, we would have only about 30 or maximum 35 members if it's a corporate club, because we do not want more members there, because we needed to add on those 2 DCP points of 4+4. So we wouldn't want more than 35. And at any given time, we would have only about 20 of them coming in for various reasons. And if you look at it, you would have around 13 people actually playing roles. So you needed at least 7 to 8 as an audience. Otherwise, what is public speaking if you don't have an audience and you have only role players? So we were very particular about that at that time. So those were things that we looked at.
Is it the ceremonial aspect you're talking about to the induction, this thing that feels I think there is a certain gravity missing nowadays in the clubs, right? And one thing that Agnel does very well is this induction of members, where the president reads out the promise and takes a promise not only from the new members, from the club itself.
Exactly.
So it kind of, I think a lot of other organizations do this very well, and we may be falling short in many clubs.
I
That
think
creates
that
that sense of belonging.
I think that should be done, but I understand now. I haven't seen the new form for membership. It seems that it's mentioned at the end and you sign the form. Maybe some of the newer clubs or newer members who are there would understand it. But we did not have it in the form at that time. We actually administered the oath. And even now, whenever I get a chance, and if I'm asked to come in and be the installing officer, that's the first thing I do, is to remind them and to administer the promise before I do the installation.
Okay, so that protocol, you're telling me that protocol, that formality is very important for a club success. Absolutely, you stand by that.
And not only in the beginning, throughout, it has to be.
It has to be at every, if the club is meeting weekly, then do it at every installation. You will have two sets of installations to be done. So do it at each installation. Reminds them.
Okay. So thank you so much for bringing this point. Like, one, keen interest, and second, the ceremonial aspect, which I feel like it's missing. I have been in Toastmasters for 1 year. I have not found that protocol and ceremonial aspects in many clubs and meetings that I have been to. And wherever a little glimpse of that professionalism comes in, you do feel really good about being in that meeting. So I completely agree with you on this point, that professionalism, that protocol is something missing, and maybe something for all the clubs and Toastmasters around to think about. We spoke about club growth, club membership, and how to maintain a club, right? Think about all the formalities. Let me take you a little bit to a different part about the leadership aspect, because you have not just been a club mentor and sponsor, you have been an excellent leader also. My first question to you is, taking you out of the Toastmasters, were you always a leader? Are you like a born leader? Because you have also been in in your corporate stint also, you have done great in your management roles wherever you have been. Or is this something that you have developed over time?
Leadership for me existed only in the dictionary. When I was in the corporate world, I used to work as a secretary to the top management. And I would, to the chairman, vice chairman, or the managing director of companies, and I would only observe the style that they would work and understand that. And it never occurred to me that one day, who knew I would be leading or get into that leadership thing. So for me, it was only a word in the dictionary. And when I got into Toastmasters, I was so happy that I could spread the word. It never occurred to me to be a leader at all. And then when we had Brilliant join our club, and I said, I'm happy helping others. Why do I need to get into a leadership position to actually help people? I can do it without a tag of being a leader. He said, no, you will have to. You can't not be a leader in the club. And so he insisted that I get into the leadership. Just helping will not do. Get into the leadership. And it was he became the president of the Bombay Toastmasters Club. And then the next year, I took it up.
Wow. So this is a happy accident, I feel like. Throughout your career, you're saying you observed other leaders, but you never actually took a leadership position. And then in Toastmasters, it's like you flooded out all those lessons that you came in with. That's a great thing for District 98. We are the lucky people here because we got to experience all those lessons that you learned and you put it into action in District 98 and in Toastmasters. So I think that's why Toastmasters is so close to your heart, because you actually, I think you also got an opportunity to create something new, which you had just observed in your career, and build something out of a district which was not even there in, in Mumbai.
Yeah, one thing I would like to talk about
Yeah.
Arvind, leadership before we moved is Arvind is one of those leaders who will tell you to do something, but he will also do it himself. It's not like do as I say and I'll do something else. It is exactly every time we started a club and we had to mentor that club, it would take 6 months of attending meetings. It was not like Arvind would be like, Ron, you go and see what they're doing, help them out. Every day I would be there in the meeting, he would also be there. And no matter how senior he was, whatever he practiced what he preached. If he was telling the grammarian do this, he would also take up the grammarian role, no matter how senior he is. And that's one thing about about leadership from Arvind you can learn, that just you also have to be in the trenches as a leader. It's not that you sit at a very high level and order people around. And I tell you something, nobody has worked as hard in our district in Toastmasters as I've seen Arvind work. So leadership is not about that. Leadership is also about doing at that level, at every level, working hard. And I'm very honored to be a part of Arvind's team in many ways.
So it's truly, I think, what you mean, Ron, is truly Arvind embodies the concept of lead to serve, right?
Absolutely.
I think his leadership style is more about serving people rather than
Yes,
being
without
exalting the
hang-ups.
title.
Without hang-ups.
Yeah.
He'll take up a grammarian role even if it's a district director in a demo meeting.
I know
No
that.
hang-ups.
I've experienced that. And let me come to you, Arvind, with this question I have in my mind, because I have taken a leadership role and I'm also not someone who's very good at leadership. It's more than accidental. It's like nobody's there, so I have to be there in that position. What I'm observing nowadays in Toastmasters and even beyond is we all expect others to do things. It's very difficult for us to do it on our own. And then when the expectations are not met, you feel bad. I feel really bad. Like when my PR is not working or my VP membership is not working, I feel bad and I don't know what to do. There's a point when I want to give up, really. But you are someone who has been for 15 years. I'm sure you have also seen that. What would you do in such circumstances as a leader? When people are not working with you, you're all alone and you clearly want to give up. Have you ever wanted to give up?
The show must go on. Somebody has to do the job. And if you are in a leadership position, then you take it up and get it done. But at the same time, understand why is that person not meeting the requirements? What has happened to that person that he or she is not stepping up? Understand that. Everybody is going through something. So unless you understand that, you can't say, oh, that person is lazy, he's wasting his time, he's not interested in Toastmasters, and why has he joined? All these things don't matter. And the main thing is, why have you joined Toastmasters? If at all you are joining Toastmasters, 2 questions that I normally would like to ask the person is, why have you joined Toastmasters? And second, have you joined Toastmasters of your own free will?
Have you joined Toastmasters of your own free will? Very hard to even think about someone not joining Toastmasters with their free will.
No, a lot of corporates push people.
Yeah, that's the reason I say if you are pushed, then you really don't want to do it. You want to please that person, so you just come, warm the chair and go off. But are you improving? Why is the corporate wasting that money on you when somebody else who is really interested should be doing it? And so we were very particular in telling the corporate that we do not want members from only one section. We want, if possible, members from across the company. For the simple reason that if you had members only from one section, then they would have target meetings. We can't come in, we are going for we can't have the meeting because our members have targets to achieve and the management will not let them come for this 2-hour thing. Various other things. So if you are having meeting every fortnight, and if you miss one, so it'll be another month before you come back to the next meeting. And then we do not know whether you are going to come back or there's going to be another crisis where you will not be able to come. So then slowly, then the club then dies down. So
Dies off. Yeah.
that's
true.
why we say
I would
we
just
need-
like to add one more thing to this is that both Arvind and I, over our years, we've seen a lot of people drop the ball. We've given them some responsibility. I mean, every club has experienced it. Every leader in every club will experience it. Joanne, as you are experiencing, one quick advice I'll tell you is if somebody doesn't do the job, don't bother, move on quickly and find the next person who will take it on. A lot of people get into this mentorship and coaching mode and try to pull that person back, and that person doesn't want to come back, you know. And when I was in Agnel and I was part of the executive, I used to tell my VP membership that don't focus on those people who have dropped out. Focus on getting new members, and when those people come back, they'll come back or not, because a lot of tug of war was going on between those members who were not taking up responsibility. So move on quickly, move to the person who actually wants to take up responsibility, and there will always be people like that. Find those, hand it to them, move on, get the job done. Like Arvind says, the show must go on. So don't like wring your hands about, "Arey, isne mere ko ye kiya, isne nahi kiya, he dropped the ball." Doesn't matter. Move on quickly, and the work has to get done. That's it.
The work has to get done and the show must go on. Rightly said by both Arvind and Ron. Arvind, let me just ask you this. What is missing right now in Toastmasters and District 98, according to you?
And be careful about that. Non-controversial
No, that's
answer.
okay. Be candid. Be candid. Be open. Please go ahead. What is missing right now?
Well, for one, I'm of the old school that I need to be in front of an audience, and I do not want to be in this little small screen. I want to be in front of an audience because there's a lot to be achieved when you have an in-person meeting. When you say public speaking, you need the public. You need the public in front of you. Only then can you improve. And the roles that you take up. There is so much to learn from that and to understand how a meeting can take place. See, the whole thing in Toastmasters is take care of the members and the numbers will take care of themselves. Take care of the members, understand what their needs are, reach out to them. And then you don't have to worry about achieving your goals. The numbers will take care of themselves because once they are happy and they get what they want and they feel wanted and they feel there's somebody nurturing them, then there's nothing more. Then you don't have to worry about running after getting our numbers. No, it's just that take care of the members and the numbers will take care of themselves.
Thank you so much. Ron, what do you think is missing in the Toastmasters fraternity right now? You also have 11 years of experience here.
I don't think anything major, but as I go through the district, as I visit clubs and my own home clubs and all that, I see small things like what we discussed at the beginning of this thing, that the seriousness of the meetings, that the protocol, sometimes that gets left behind. There's a lot of small things that can be improved. But then again, a few days back, somebody was talking to me, and I think I was talking to a senior Toastmaster. I don't remember who, and he was like, "In our time, we used to do this." In our time, he means 5-6 years ago, pre-COVID. We used to do this, and now everybody's online, and they don't do this and they don't do that. But also at some point things move on. You have to also accept that what used to be done earlier, like what me and Arvind consider very valuable, may not be as valuable to the new generation. I think we have to accept that also. I think Arvind also has to bite his tongue many times when things don't function as we used to function, so to speak. So it's a generational thing also. Overall, I think our district is doing fabulous. There's so much young energy, positive energy, like yourself, Joanne, and a lot of other young Toastmasters that come in, and they've really made a huge difference. But yes, there is certain value in the traditional approach of Toastmasters, which I think the new generation can take a lot out of it. Like when you are inducting new members, the ceremonial aspect of it gets kind of glossed over in the new this thing. Something like that can still add a lot of value. Nothing major,
No,
a lot of small things for improvement.
I completely agree, because I think when things go south, it's these traditions and those rules that will keep you grounded and that will keep you stable, right? When things are going great, when your club is having members and your meetings are going superb, it doesn't matter if you don't read your mission statement T to T, right? Like, it's fine, everything goes fine. Though Arvind, I know, will kill me as a GE, and I've personally experienced that in one of my meetings, that he will thrash me as a GE if I don't go by the protocol. But I do agree with both of you, because I've personally experienced this, that when things go south, it's those protocols and those traditions that keep you stable, that so that even if you have just 5 to 10 members, you have a successful meeting. And at the end of the day, the meetings are the core of Toastmasters. Everything else is supplementary that we do. It's that day in, day out meeting where you meet with your society, your club. Maybe it's 10, 15 members. That is where the actual learning and growth happens. So I completely agree with both of you. Now it's right now, wow, 8:41. If any of you have any questions for Arvind, you can put that in chat. We will take those questions up and pass it on to him for your answers. Meanwhile, the audience types their chat questions and messages. Arvind, let me ask you this. You have seen Toastmasters in Mumbai, you have made it, and you've also seen Toastmasters abroad, right? Not just this, you have had experience of going and visiting different clubs in different places. Can you tell me what is the major difference between Indian Toastmasters or District 98 Toastmasters and the others? And is there something that we are doing good, or is there something that we can learn from them?
I would say that we go by protocols, and I would always say that we follow what Toastmasters has told us and how a meeting should be held and how a role should be played, how a report should be submitted. You know, when you have many of the clubs that I visited online, I found that, well, there wasn't any discipline. Some of them lacked a bit of discipline. Well, I'm using my yardstick. I'm using the district 98 yardstick.
I can see you're measuring your words very carefully, because you're like, I don't want to say anything. But
Yeah, this doesn't have to be the last episode of Joe and Rosso.
No. So I get that one.
So these are things that I would, just because you are adept at presentation skills and making slides, you present your report in a slide format. Now when you present a report in the slide format also, we can all see it. And only those who are really keen, and those are the members who have played a role and their names are there, would understand that these are the errors in the R's or the umps that you have made. And you put the number there. You only highlight the ones that are really very high in number. But there are some clubs that say, oh, over 5, over 10. But that doesn't tell me how much. Am I using it 100 times? Am I using it 50 times? I must be made aware of it. And don't say that you had a crutch sound or a crutch word. Tell me the sound and tell me the word, because only then will it get into my conscience. Consciously, I will make an attempt of reducing the number of times that I'm saying that thing, that particular word or that phrase or whatever. So tell me, not just say that it was so many times. And secondly, are you improving one of your leadership qualities? No. One of the leadership qualities is listening skills. The moment I say over 5, I forget, let him tell how many times he wants to use that word. I'm not bothered. As long as he's over 5, my job is done. No, you are not going to improve. And remember one thing in Toastmasters, we are peers, peer learning. And if you have an ego, then you will never succeed. Why? I come here and I would not say that I am a leader or I'm the, when I used to go to the club meetings, I would say I'm coming in as to my home club. I would say, please do not acknowledge the district leader in the club. I am here as a member of this club. So there should be no addressing me as, or mentioning it at the beginning of the meeting, we have the district leader in the meeting. No, I am a club member and I'm attending it in that capacity. If I have to come to your club, you need to invite me as a district director or whoever in one of those top 3 positions. I have to be invited. And when I am invited, the protocol will be to acknowledge my presence. If I've just come into the meeting, I can go into a meeting, but I'll be a Toastmaster at that time. I am not the district director at that time.
Wow, you gave like a huge point here. You made a clear-cut clarity on what protocol means and what it does not mean when you're attending a meeting. And the best thing is, what I loved, leave your title and ego outside the door before you enter the meeting. That's what I got from you, Arvind. Thank you so much. We have so many questions for you, Arvind, and I don't think we have time for all of them, but let me start with the one basic question Libby is asking. We always talk about having quality meetings. What exactly do you mean by quality meeting? What constitutes a quality meeting according to you, DTM Arvind sir?
Quality meeting. First, understand what is now if we have a meeting 2 weeks from now, I will, and I have taken up the role of the Toastmaster of the day, and all the other roles are filled in by the Vice President Education, and that is made known to me. It will be my task to reach out to each of those role players. If today was our meeting, and our next meeting is 2 weeks from now on a Thursday or a Wednesday, I would ensure that I frame, or I tell the Vice President Education what my theme for the meeting on the 15th or 2 weeks hence, the next meeting would be. I would tell the person, today being Wednesday, maybe by Friday or Saturday, I would mention what my theme would be, so that I then begin to form my questions for the introduction. And when I understand who the role players are, I would reach out to them with one question based on the theme that I would be speaking. So if it's going to be summer vacations, I would ask each role player to just let me know in 2 or 3 sentences how they used to spend their summer vacation as a child. And I would use their response to frame their introduction when I call them on to mention their role, or whenever they are, whichever role they are taking up. So once you do that, you learn a lot of things. You learn how to write an introduction. You learn how to reach out to somebody, because the time may not suit everyone. But now we have this WhatsApp and all that sort of thing. Can I call you, or can you send it to me on WhatsApp? No, I would actually call them and ask them, can you tell me, write it to me. Then we went on to the emails and said, send it to me on email. So so you learn how to approach and understand how to connect with the person, and what is the suitable time and how to connect with the person. So you got these things done. And then we would have the VP Ed explain to each role player what is the script. And I think in the way back in those days, I used to help in forming that script for each role player, which was only for 30 to 45 seconds, and nobody giving a gyan of 15, I should say, for a minute or two about the importance of time and all that. Your job is only to tell the meeting about what your role is, not about what time is. Or what crutch words, what do? They distort your speech and all that. No lecture. Just because if you want to give a lecture, then take up a speech role. Take up a speech role and have that title, and see that it conforms to that project, and then give the speech. So these
related to this,
yeah.
Sorry, Arvind, so sorry. But just related to this point is the next question, where somebody has said that, how do you convey the members to follow the script strictly? Because sometimes it can be boring and repetitive to them. And this is something that they come up with. So you're talking about script and sticking to the script, but members say it's boring, it's repetitive. So how do you convey this message to them?
It's repetitive. Are you playing the role for the 10th time of a timer? It may be repetitive to you. And it's why, if Toastmasters has done that, why do you want to change it? You feel that you are bringing in a novelty. Well, you take up a speech role, take up the Toastmaster of the day, take up the table topic master. You use those creativity there. Remember Toastmaster. And why do we have time for everything? 4 to 5 minute speeches, 5 to 7 minute speeches, and 2 to 3 minutes of evaluation, 1 to 2 minutes. Everything, because Toastmasters lays a great emphasis on time. And that's why you have an agenda. Follow the agenda. Every person has certain time limit. Do not go beyond that. Because the moment you want to give a story about time and what happened to you and all that, you are eating into somebody else's time. And that person will, there again, you have to sacrifice. You should sacrifice your ego and sacrifice the script that you have already done and say, sorry, let it go now that the time is up. My time is only this much. Let me only speak this much. Cut short, because you are the three main people. The 3 sections and the 3 section holders are the people who must keep the meeting in time to ensure that it begins and ends on time. And the timer, I always insist, is not there only to keep the timing of the speeches. He or she has to be called at every interval to give the timing of the speeches and to remind the club and to remind the meeting that we have gone beyond time in the agenda by so many minutes so that the next person can sacrifice the script.
Yeah, I want
Okay.
to address this point also quickly.
Go ahead, Ron. Go ahead.
So the thing is, we have been in so many meetings that sometimes the roles feel very repetitive. Like if you're sitting through a meeting, I don't think you will even listen to the grammarian's introduction because you know it by heart, you've done it and all that. But if there are certain clubs which have this thing where the guests come and give the feedback at the end of the meeting, and if you look at the meeting through the guests' eyes, they're absolutely fascinated by the kind of protocol we follow and the way that we do things in such a structured and organized manner. Like the timer comes, the grammarian comes, the speeches go on time, the introductions happen, everything is run like clockwork. So when somebody asks you how do you improve the quality of the meetings overall, know the protocol which Toastmasters suggests and master it in such a way that the meetings are dynamic, but at the same time the beauty of the structure also is impressive to the members and to the guests. So the structure which we, through tired eyes, we don't appreciate it nowadays so much, but look at the meeting through the eyes of a guest who's come for the first time. They are simply amazed. Even you walking into a meeting and you're seeing the board has been written, the names are written, all the roles have been allocated, then one by one everybody comes in the proper manner and introduces this, and then every timer happens, the grammarian happens, and the speaker happens, and the table. And to somebody who maybe not very familiar with this, it's amazing. So we should really pay homage to the structure of the meeting. It's very beautifully designed, and as a club which executes that beautifully, the club is going to be great. I think Arvind would agree on that point, right?
True, that's exactly what it is. That's how it should be done.
Perfect answer. 10 out of 10 for how to conduct a quality meeting. Stick to the protocol. You have your opportunity to experiment and be creative when you take roles like TTM, TM mod, T-mod, as well as when you give speeches. We have a lot of questions, but unfortunately, my dear friends, we don't have time to take them all. But there's one very interesting question that has come up to you, Arvind, and it's a personal question directed to you. And it says, now that you are retired and you have done the main leadership roles in Toastmasters and you have already become a DTM, why are you still a Toastmaster?
Yes, Arvind, why are you still here?
Why are you still here? What
Why
you
are we
see
still
was
here, Arvind? Please tell them.
please, I want to know this. Such a lovely question from Sunita.
Why am I still there? Okay, if anybody wants me out, I'm ready to go out. No, jokes apart, I have gained so much from these 15 plus years in Toastmasters. I have retired. I can only share my experiences. I'd love to share so that I can pass on what I have gained over these years so that somebody else can improve. And when I see such things happening, it really melts my heart. To name just one, we had a member who joined Toastmasters in Bombay Toastmasters, and I'd like to name him, take his name here, is Mudit Yadav. He joined Toastmasters because he said he wanted to improve on his speaking skills, and he was participating in some contest. He was, I think, a chartered accountant who was getting into something. So it was an all India contest, and he got through because he came to our club and we helped him to better his speech, etc. And then he went on to go to London where the finals were held. Unfortunately, he did not make it. But what he did become after that is a motivational speaker at that very young age. And then he wrote a book, and he gave in the credit in the forwards, he did give credit to both Brilliant and me in that. And when I see those things, that's what I feel so happy about and continue to be here, because if I can make that little difference to somebody, then I'm there to help, and that gives me great satisfaction.
Thank you so much, Arvind. Making differences in life, you are definitely making a difference in all our lives, in my life too, because as I said, you are somebody I look up to. Whenever I feel like, where is everything going? I know, look up to Arvind, talk to him, and he'll tell you exactly the protocol that you have to follow. And yes, there are people commenting, what will we do without you, Arvind? So that's a love and respect that the whole district, and I'm sure the Toastmaster fraternity is having for you.
Thank you.
And as I always say, where does the time fly? I felt like we were actually going on a very quiet pace, but still the time flew by. So many more questions I have, but I can't take it tonight. Maybe some other time. My biggest dream is, Arvind, you know what, like we should all sit down for a cup of coffee and just have a conversation. As you said, live, right? With people, not on a screen. But thank you so much. And such beautiful final words for tonight. You said making differences like in people's life. That is what is motivating you and keeping you still in Toastmasters. And you do deserve that title. You do make a difference. Ron, any last words for tonight for this episode?
I am very, very grateful for having Arvind Nair in Toastmasters. Very grateful that I found him when I did, and that he mentored me, and he guided me, and he became a very good friend as well. Like me, there are a lot of Toastmasters who are very grateful for him. And by no means is his story in Toastmaster over, not by a long shot. We will find something for him to do. Don't worry about that. But we are extremely grateful for what he's achieved, what he has contributed. I'm 100%, I can say it with certainty, this district would not have been in existence even without his contribution, which I personally have seen by myself with him. And just very grateful. I want to say heartfelt thanks on behalf of everybody for everything that he's done for us and is going to do for us and is doing for us. And thank you very much. That's all I can say very much to Arvind. And yes, we will of course bring him again, as in the future we'll be have a different topic, maybe some other kind of theme, but we will bring him and we will pick his brains again and again. And he is one of our groupies, by the way. He attends all our podcasts, and we are very grateful for the support, steadfast support. Thank you, Arvind. Love you, man.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
And before we stop the podcast officially, how can I forget the summarization? And I'm thinking, how am I supposed to summarize what Arvind said, like in a couple of minutes? But let me give it a try. What started for Ron as a small ad in the Times of India has changed his life and has changed Arvind's life. Both of them, mentor and mentee, together tonight here. And both of them actually shared their knowledge tonight on this podcast. So let me start by saying, how do you start a club? The first thing Arvind said was camaraderie, the fraternity, the group, the community. You have to show people what it means to be in Toastmasters. You have to make them feel that, whether it's a corporate or a community club, doesn't matter. And I love the fact that there were no demo meetings, there were just info meetings. Another thing I tell you, Arvind, what I loved about your what you said is people forget that Toastmasters is a voluntary organization. Every single person here tonight voluntarily has signed up, is sitting here listening to this podcast or attending meetings. We all are end of the day doing it for ourselves, let's be honest, so that we can become better. And on the way, maybe we can help others to become better. So then he says, give it to them in tidbits. Don't bring a lot of people. Don't push it and try to start clubs on a massive level. Remember, everybody is busy in their own life. Ask people how they can help, bring them in small groups, and try this out and see if you can grow more clubs. How does a club survive? Very important question, because I think this is something we all need to think about. Clubs, I feel clubs go in waves. You know, there is that wave period when you're at a very high peak and everything is good, and then there is a wave when it goes down. But end of the day, how do great clubs survive? First thing Arvind says is keen interest. The members should have keen interest. And you as Toastmasters, it's your responsibility to ensure that every single member knows why he is there in that community, why he's a part of Toastmaster, and what is the reason and what is the keen interest that he's bringing into the community. Second, the most important thing that I think it's his favorite, the protocol, the formality, the professionalism. That is, I'll say that is one word with which we can actually describe DTM Arvind today. He says the protocol is something maybe missing. And if you want to keep a club successful, survive, and have quality meetings also, forget about everything else. Stick to the protocol. Whether it's like taking the oath or the installation ceremony, the induction, there is a ceremonial aspect to Toastmasters. Maybe that is missing a little bit. We need to think about it. We need to think the importance of this ceremony, this protocol, and bring that back into picture. And let's see how that changes the way clubs work in every single district and every single area. Another thing that is, I think Arvind loves about Toastmasters is the public speaking aspect. And he says that's maybe missing. I'm sorry, this podcast is also online, but I don't know how to make this. Someday, I think, Ron, one day, at least one episode, we'll do this podcast offline and we'll bring Arvind back on that episode, because he says he loves public speaking where audience is sitting right next to him, and that gives him the thrill. And there needs to be that sense of belonging when you're on stage and when your audience is there. Past and present, what's the difference? Past was something where Arvind, Ron, all of them have seen a lot of hard work, blood, sweat, tears being poured into the district to bring it to the place that it is right now. But nowadays, it's all about prestige, maybe. Something to think about. Are we working hard enough? Are we putting on those steps and building on those blocks so that the future generation can also benefit the way these veterans have worked hard for us? So this is something to think about. Leadership. Now let's come to the leadership aspect. Leadership, this is exciting, guys, because today I realized one thing. For Arvind, he became a leader after he joined Toastmasters. Before that, leadership was just a word in dictionary. He just observed. But he got this opportunity to become a leader who serves, a leader who's excellent, or par excellence, I must say, because the accolades and accomplishments speak for themselves. And he got this opportunity because of Toastmasters. And here's a lesson for every one of us. Maybe we are not blessed, or maybe right now in your life, you may not have an opportunity in your career to be a leader, because it's difficult to find that opportunity. But join Toastmasters, my dear friends. Here, you get an opportunity to be a leader because nobody's checking about your background. Nobody's asking you questions. You are ready to do the hard work. We are here to help you as your peers. You get that opportunity. And Arvind got that opportunity and he became a leader. And what a leader you have become, DTM Arvind Nair, sir. He's a leader in action. He practices what he preaches. And he's also someone who's ready to go to the trenches deep down. Ron, his mentee, spoke about Arvind with such high praise. When I asked him, what do you do when you want to give up? Everybody has that time. 15 years is not a joke. Is it so that you don't want to give up in this 15 years? He says, whatever you feel, you always remember the show must go on. And whenever you're in doubt, my dear friends, as a leader or as a speaker or as a Toastmaster, or you can take this lesson to your life. When you're not in doubt about anything in life, what do? DTM Arvind says, go back and ask that one question. Why are you doing this? Why did you join Toastmasters? And I think this is a question that we forget to ask. We get involved into all those ego trip and titles and accomplishments and success and forget the core reason why we joined Toastmasters. End of the day, we all want to be great leaders, but also great speakers. And we need to keep that as our trajectory and that as our aim and move ahead. Move on quickly. Focus on getting new members. Don't think about giving up. Don't think about what's working, what's not working. That was Ron's advice for this question when I asked him how not to give up. What is missing right now? In-person meetings, obviously. But you know what I love? One really good aspect that I think all XCOM members, especially, we need to take back to our clubs. Arvind says, take care of your members and the numbers will take care of themselves. Make your members feel wanted. Make them feel nurtured. This feeling, I think, is something missing in a lot of clubs. We are just running behind the numbers. We are just running behind, ticking the check boxes, speeches done, roles done. But what about the feeling? End of the day, humans, we don't remember what people say, do. We only remember what we feel. And Arvind so rightly said, make your members feel wanted and they will come back again and again. And that will lead to a successful club. So much more I have written down. Like, there's so many lessons, whether it's about peer learning, whether it's about discipline, whether it's about how to conduct quality meetings, but I'm not going to give you all those tips in the summary. Go back and listen to the podcast on Spotify as well as YouTube, and you'll get in detail how to conduct a quality meeting by Arvind Nair, as well as Ron with his inputs on how to do that. You are having trouble? People don't want to read the scripts? I'll tell you, go back and listen to the podcast. Both of them have given some fantastic answers on how to convince your members to read their scripts and stick to that scripts, and the importance of protocol and ceremony in Toastmasters. Last words from Arvind, and I love those words. He said he has gained so much from Toastmasters that now he wants to share his experience because he has seen that Toastmasters has the power to actually change lives, change the trajectory of people's life and make a difference. He has seen that. He has been a part of this change and difference, and that is what keeps him motivated. And I think that is what keeps Ron also motivated. And one day, I hope I also reach to this level where I also feel like I'm making a difference in people's life. Wow. That's the summary for you tonight, guys. I hope I tried to be as good as these guys were. Like, I'm sure it was not justified. There's so much more to talk about. Go back and listen to the podcast on Spotify as well as YouTube to get all those nitty-gritties, these small tips and tricks by Arvind and Ron on leadership and club success and growth. Thank you so much. You have been a fantastic audience on season 2, episode 3, and Joe and Ro Talk Toastmasters. We have our next episode next Wednesday. That's on 29th. And this time we are having another special person. And I never give out the names of our, next guest, because I like to keep it a mystery. But I'll tell you, this person is a little special for me because she is a leader. She's an excellent speaker, and she's a she. It's a she. I think it's the first time we're going to have a female guest on the podcast. And I always tell Ron, we need to bring female guests as leaders and speakers. And we have. There's no dearth of female leaders in Toastmasters and District 98. So I'm so excited for next Wednesday when a female leader is going to come and talk about leadership and lead to serve on episode 4 of Joe and Ro Talk Toastmasters. Thank you so much. You have been a fantastic audience. Thank you, Arvind. Thank you, Ron. Bye-bye. Good night. Have a great week and great week.